Welcome to SVGTV News for Friday, May 8th, 2015. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. The passage of a new banking act, among other steps being proposed by the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, the ECCB, is anticipated to give the legal capacity to successfully address the issues affecting the banking system. It is also expected to place the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, the ECCU, in a position to preempt future crises, such as the global financial meltdown. Addressing member states of the ECCU via television on the steps being taken by the ECCB Monetary Council and the Central Bank to confront the challenges affecting the ECCU banking system, Governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, Sir Dwight Venner, says the stability of the banking system is of paramount importance, given its significance to the economies and societies of the ECCU. Sir Venner explains that as a consequence of living in a globalized world, the region is expected to adapt to international standards. He adds that at the moment, banks are facing the serious challenge of losing correspondent relations with banks in the United States because of the small size of the national institutions and the international requirements which are becoming compulsory for operating in the international system.
Our ability to settle simple transactions like paying for our imports and sending money to our children studying abroad could be in jeopardy. We have seen in other parts of the world how traumatic and damaging a financial crisis can be to societies and economies. Despite the Clico and Baico collapses, the run on the Bank of Antigua, and the intervention of 3 other banks, 2 in Anguilla and 1 in Antigua and Barbuda, the ECCU financial system has remained stable. The former Secretary of the U.S. Treasury, Tim Geithner, who held office during the height of the global crisis in the United States, makes the very telling point that once the financial system is prevented from going over the brink and is returned to normalcy, there is no appreciation of the gravity of the possible outcome if the required action was not taken.
The ECCB governor further states that the passage of the new Banking Act provides for greater protection of depositors and increased regulations of banks in keeping with international standards. Sir Venner adds that banks are now required to hold higher levels of capital to make them more resilient and to raise the level of corporate governance in the stewardship of the financial institutions.
These are not unreasonable requirements in light of the current situation. 2. Deposit insurance will be instituted to safeguard deposits up to a threshold of $200,000. 3. New foreclosure laws will be drafted to ensure expeditious treatment on behalf of creditors and debtors. 4. A credit bureau will be established to improve the quality of credit information made available to banks to upgrade the evaluation process used to grant loans. The ECCU is now at a critical point in its development, and these challenges present the region with a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to step up to a new level of economic and financial management in an increasingly globalized and competitive world. The Council is in the process of defining an enhanced role and function for commercial banks in the growth and development agenda of our economies. This applies to both international and national banks, with which the Central Bank has been engaging in discussions.
The governor says the Monetary Council has agreed to the establishment of a consortium of supportive institutions and countries to work with the ECCU governments, OECS Commission, and the ECCB to coordinate efforts with respect to the 3 main developmental challenges. He says these challenges are financial stability and development, sustained economic growth, and fiscal and debt consolidation.
The consortium comprises the following: our main trading partners, the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, and the European Union; regional and international institutions, the Caribbean Development Bank, the IMF, and the World Bank Group; and United Nations agencies, United Nations Development Program, UNDP, United Nations Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, UNECLAC, and the International Labour Organization. We are mobilizing all of our available resources and are prepared to successfully resolve the issues faced by our banking system. It has been a long process, but necessarily so, because of the extent of the collaboration required and the need for the thorough and careful analyses which had to be done. We are now at the stage of implementation. fellow citizens and residents, the central bank remains committed to maintaining the stability of the banking system and protecting the interests of depositors.
The transition of wooden pipelines to fiberglass for hydroelectricity at Richmond should be completed by mid-June. This confirmation comes from Manager of Engineering at the St. Vincent Electricity Services, VINLEC, Dr. Von Lewis. The technical expert says plans were already in place before the December 2013 floods, but with the disaster came an increased priority to ensure that better systems were in place to withstand adverse weather conditions. He says some of the excavation work have been done and some 100 meters of pipes have been laid, and that a further 760 meters will be installed. Dr. Lewis says the decision to install the pipes below ground is not only aesthetically pleasing to the environment, but is expected to last for more than 50 years because of the material's durability.
And then from this concrete pipeline, it would have originally transitioned through a metal piece into a wood stave pipeline, which was above ground. Now, what we have here is that we are now moving, instead of to our wood stave pipeline, we are moving to a glass reinforced plastic pipeline. And we are installing this underground. So this structure takes the pipeline underground, and it will remain underground for about 860 meters until we reach to a tower at the top of the hill. And we will show you a cross section of the installation, because right now we have finished approximately 100 meters of the installation. We have done most of the excavation for the underground installation, and we'll be showing you different sections.
The engineer says though the December 2013 floods tremendously damaged the pipeline system for the company, the lessons learned from the floods will help them gain knowledge of how to deal with future disasters.
This concrete structure, anytime water turns a corner, a sharp corner, you have to have a solid concrete structure. It's a truss block to prevent movement of the pipe and bursting of the pipe. Now, after December floods, when we came here, we met our pipeline shifted, destroyed, in very, very poor condition. Hopefully, this installation, the decision we have taken to move this pipeline underground would harden the pipeline. The concrete section of it is already very robust and has withstood floods and rockfalls in the past. And hopefully, this will help us to be more secure for the future. So even the pipeline was there for 50 years. I can't tell you, various elements of the pipeline was changed as it was maintained. The benefit of moving to this technology is that this is going, barring something that we haven't seen as yet, activity or disaster we haven't seen as yet. This would be here without maintenance, unless there is a leak or so on, for the next 50 years.
Senior Planning Engineer with VINLEC, Ricky Wright, says training is a critical component to ensure that the new equipment is properly installed and maintained.
And two of our engineers visited them and saw it firsthand being done. So it was really eye-opening in that what you research, now you actually see it being implemented in a similar environment, and we kind of got the confidence we can do it. A couple of our engineers also went to Colombia to visit the factory that produced the pipelines, and negotiate further training of our saw the production and saw them working on it in the factory, and they are kind of offering some supervision here now, but also before they started any work, they did some training our staff how to maintain and do the work.
The Fancy Vegetable Cooperative, FAVCO, is the newest farmers cooperative on the market. The organization was launched yesterday in the North Windward area, where the new vegetable nursery and operation plant was introduced. Various agricultural experts and sponsors were in attendance, where they heard of the objectives of the project, such as building capacity in farming entrepreneurship and technical skills. Regional Supervisor for Agriculture Region 3, Leroy Jackson, says he is proud of the work done to ensure that the project is a success.
To use the most appropriate technology that is suitable to achieve the desirable outcomes beyond the production of vegetable seedlings for sale. The project has a built-in component for an on-farm production system utilizing best practices, including good agricultural practice to meet global GAP standards, and to address the issues of climate change, adaptation, minimizing environmental degradation, maintaining soil fertility, and utilizing an integrated pest management strategy to reduce high-risk exposure to chemical use and residual impact.
Instead of always trying to care for others, women should practice self-love and self-appreciation and celebrate themselves more often. This advice comes from Dr. Arusha Campbell Chambers, who was delivering the Girls High School 104th Anniversary Lecture last evening at French's House. Speaking on the topic, empowering Caribbean women to embrace self-care and self-preservation. According to Dr. Chambers, there is nothing wrong with taking time off from others to take care of oneself. Dr. Chambers further notes that because women are always trying to take care of others, they become very susceptible to many ills being committed against them.
While we should always strive to achieve equality for women in the workplace, the reality is that women are often the ones taking care of everyone else. This is often at the expense of our own health. Women are therefore at increased risk of burnout, breakdown, and in too many instances, victims of all forms of abuse. All of these issues affect Caribbean women across the board, regardless of race, social class, religion, or political affiliation. Women often carry many heavy burdens in our communities. More women need to become aware that unless we take care of ourselves, we cannot effectively take care of everyone and everything else.
She says when a woman is able to properly look after herself, she will develop the capacity to take care of others.
Self-caring starts with self-love. It is said that love is first an inside job. If we do not truly love ourselves, we cannot effectively give love to or accept love from others. We do believe, don't we, that we have all been fearfully and wonderfully made by God. We have all been created in His image. This alone is reason for us to love ourselves. There is no one in this universe who is just like you. No one who has your unique set of gifts. No one who can do the tasks that you are destined to do. Women, you need to be your biggest cheerleader. There is nothing vain about loving yourself, looking at your reflection in the mirror and seeing the beautiful woman staring back at you. If you haven't already done so, it's never too late to start loving, accepting, respecting, forgiving, and celebrating yourself.
And earlier today, a church service was held at the Methodist Church Hall to wrap up the GHS 104th anniversary celebrations. Addressing the gathering, which included past and present students, Deputy Vice Principal Michelle Beach says, over the years, the school has exceeded all expectations. She says the reason why the school is among the top educational institutions in the country is due to the fact that the school has been dedicated to giving each student the opportunity to blossom holistically and realize the importance of self-discipline.
This school has exceeded all expectations. A privileged opening for secondary education for girls, expanding to possibilities for all girls of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. A simple educational opportunity has laid a solid foundation for building successful lives locally and abroad. throughout the years, this school has sought not only to ensure sound academic tutelage, but an appreciation for God, for others, the society, and the finer things in life. We have embraced and incorporated clubs and organizations to offer students avenues for further self-development. Additionally, we have recognized the need for careful attention to healthy living, especially in a digital age.
Principal Andrea Bowman says the GHS is proudly able to celebrate yet another milestone because of the discipline and sacrifice of the thousands of past students who were able to pave a way for all the other students to follow. She adds that this sacrifice must never be forgotten nor taken for granted, and told the current body of students that hard work and focus always equal success.
Sacrifice means disciplining yourselves to work and not being swallowed up by the lure of social media. Sacrifice means working diligently and creatively and not merely copying the work of others. Sacrifice means respecting our school rules despite being called a nerd for so doing. Sacrifice means responding to wrong with a soft answer, which means you don't fight. Sacrifice means appreciating the dignity, rights, and responsibilities of your fellow students and teachers without seeking to bully others into adopting your perspective. Our school is big enough and old enough to accommodate our diversity within the parameters of our tried and tested codes and ethos.
And the young women of SVG, particularly the students of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Girls High School, are being urged to love themselves and to always think positively of themselves and all that they can accomplish. This advice comes from a deacon of the Anglican Church of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Vermina Richards-Gonzalez, who says being positive can change one's outlook in life and can contribute to great achievements.
The challenge for you as young ladies, so that you can grow into strong women and responsible citizens, is to strive to first learn to love yourself and value yourself as a worthwhile human being. Because from that reality will flow positive thinking, positive behaviors, positive outlook, positive personality, and balanced development. Reflect on the fact that you are awesomely created. Focus on your spiritual development. Develop a strong faith with God. This will be your bedrock throughout life, and nothing life throws at you, however devastating, will overpower you.
Opposition leader Annie Eustace says while the move to protect the rights of those suffering abuse is a worthy one, he is, however, uneasy about the actual implementation process of the recently adopted Domestic Violence Act. The opposition leader, who was at the time contributing to the debate on the bill in Parliament, says he hopes that persons will now have more confidence to go to court to seek redress.
To me, in a sense, the general thrust of the legislation is very good. My concern was implementation. My concern was whether people will come in the way they used to come, or in greater numbers, to make use of the services of the family court. We have to ensure that. And therefore the question of promotion of this legislation and so on has to be well known, has to be well done, so that more people can take advantage of the legislation. Without it, this dirty record we have here will continue.
Expressing disgust with some adults whom he says are putting up their children for sexual favors in exchange for monetary gains, the opposition leader says the laws must protect the vulnerable.
I can't believe that we have reached to that level. I'm not casting any aspersions on any individual. This is our country, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, that we are talking about. And none of us can be happy with the state of affairs, and that is why I welcome the legislation. None of us can be happy with what is happening. When people are looking to sell their children in that kind of way.
And Minister of Gender Affairs Frederick Stevenson says the Domestic Violence Act will protect both men and women being abused. Stevenson says the legislation will complement other laws on the books which protect against any sort of abuse regardless of one's sex.
That all of St. Vincent and the Grenadines be made aware of the provisions in this bill, so that you may know and understand your rights, and to ensure that the issue of domestic violence, which does not only mean violence against women, because we know that domestic violence speaks domestic violence because some men have had violence perpetrated against them by women.
Local police have arrested and charged a young man of Rillan Hill with the Mayday murder in Camden Park. 27-year-old Shamel Dunbar was escorted this morning to the Serious Offences Court after he was charged with the indictable offence of murder yesterday. He has been remanded in custody where he will await the start of the preliminary inquiry. He is accused of killing 25-year-old Al-J. Chris Brown Douglas of Camden Park, who died after receiving 2 bullets at an event dubbed Water, Soca and Alcohol, held on Friday, May 1st at the Camden Park playing field. According to the police, preliminary investigation show that Douglas, who was posted as a doorman at the event, was approached by a hooded male who shot him in the stomach and the face around 2:10 a.m. last Friday. The assailant reportedly relieved Douglas of a purse containing gate money before he left the scene. Douglas's death is recorded as the 5th homicide for the year. 2 days after news broke of the arrest of a radio host and producer here for statements made on air, the police have now issued a report on the matter. According to the report, on Wednesday, May 6th, Alex Barnwell was on the air when he made a statement relating to a matter that is presently before the court. As a result, the Assistant Commissioner of Police in charge of crimes, Frankie Joseph, sent officers from the Criminal Investigation Department to invite Barnwell to the Central Police Station to speak to him on discussing the matter on air. The police report further states that during the process, the situation escalated. However, Barnwell was never arrested. Barnwell was then invited to a meeting with the Commissioner of Police, with whom he met on Thursday, along with the Deputy Commissioner and the Assistant Commissioners of Police, to discuss the incident. It was also pointed out in the police report that at no time during the radio program did Barnwell use profanity.